My name is Alison Nelson. I'm the Director for Allied Health and Workforce Development at the Institute for Urban Indigenous Health. I think when we have students who come on prac with us at the Institute, one of the very first things we do, in fact the first thing we do, is give them an orientation, and part of that orientation process is around providing them not only with information about what their placement's going to look like, but obviously the background to our organisation and more broadly to the Aboriginal community controlled health sector, because often students, particularly OT students, don't have a great knowledge of what that sector is and how we work. But also, really importantly, we talk about what sorts of things they need to know in order to be able to work in this space effectively. So we've developed for both our clinicians and for our students a framework called the Making Connections Framework. And so part of that orientation is talking to them about what that framework looks like and how it plays out in practice. So we talk about the importance of getting connected to the staff that you're going to be working with. That it's really important in the clinics to know your reception staff and your drivers and your Aboriginal health workers and a whole range of other staff, obviously, and learn about them, but also about their knowledge of the clients and the community in order to then help you get connected to your clients. So that's, part of being connected is connecting with families, whether you're working with children or adults. It's really important that we come from that family-centred model, and having, I guess, trying to dispel some of the myths and misunderstandings that students might come with about practicing in this space. Often people think they come without ever having met an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person. So part of that is, dispelling the myth that that's probably not true. They just might not have realised that they've met an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person. We talk a lot about, we use data a lot at the Institute, so and we use data to help make Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people visible. So for instance, most people are surprised when they learn that in southeast Queensland there are 65,000 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Most people come with a misperception that most Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people live in rural and remote areas. So we unpack some of that with them and talk about the fact that it's really everybody's business, that you might have come to this placement thinking this isn't really your interest area, but actually it doesn't matter where you work, you're going to come across Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and you need to know how to work effectively in this space. So often the feedback we get from students is that they learn a lot on this placement about things that they wish they'd known earlier. And in fact, one student placement we actually had very early on, we had students develop a document that was called I wish I knew then what I know now, which was talking about the sorts of things that they've learned on their placement that they thought should have been kind of common knowledge but weren't, obviously. So I think the knowledge is one thing, but it's the confidence and competence that the students develop in being able to interact with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I mean, I say to my staff, every day is Cultural Awareness Day. It's not a program. You're working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander clients, colleagues, so, all that reflective practice stuff that you learn at uni that you thought, what is that about? This is what it's about. It's about reflecting on those interactions and those connections that you're making and thinking about what worked and what didn't work and what do I need to take out of that and what lens am I bringing as a non-Indigenous person to this space that made that interaction interesting or different or difficult, and what can I learn from that in order to make my practice more effective into the future. So we do a lot of work with students about understanding who they are and where they come from. That's part of proper Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander ways anyway, in terms of understanding introductions and protocols, but it's a really important part of understanding that lens that you come with into this space. And it's not only your white Western lens and values that you bring, but it's also the lens of occupational therapy, and that's been developed in a white Western space. And so thinking about how do the values of occupational therapy align with or not align with maybe the values of your client. And at some point in that conversation we get to the place of, well, isn't that best practice for anyone? And we say, yes, it is. But I think sometimes, when people come into working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, they think they've got to throw everything out, or how do I make this apply? And so part of their journey, I guess, when they're on placement with us is learning about that, learning how the way that they think as OTs can be a really valuable contribution to working in this space, but at the same time being mindful that they also bring a particular lens and knowledge that colours the way that they see the world and the way they see their clients.